everybody, this is the Vikstrand and welcome to my hotel in Tuscany. Today we are going to talk about Hammer Films, who during the 60s and the 70s made lots and lots of UK-based predominantly horror movies about certain iconic horror characters. It died down eventually but was resurrected about a decade ago to pretty good reviews and a couple of pretty good movies actually. We're going to talk today about the absolute first movie I saw from Hammer Films, called Taste the Blood of Dracula, and roll the credits, I guess. Like most of its Hammer movies starring Dracula, it takes place during the Victorian age in a rural countryside type setting, and our characters are basically a couple of old rich dudes who are very respectable by the other members of the community, and they give lots to charity, and they are stand-up fellows, and they go to church and all that stuff. Of course, everything is not so nice behind the curtains. No. They are a bunch of real scallywagons, these fellows, and they basically lives the Motley Crue life, except they don't do much of rock and roll. But they're going a bit blasé, and nothing really seems to satisfy them anymore. But Lord Courtly, a stranger, shows up, and he says to them that if they sell their souls to the devil, he will guarantee them pleasures they have never experienced ever. When do we start? Is their most reasonable reply. So they perform these sort of satanic ritual, but during this satanic ritual something happens and Lord Courtly goes a little mad. We all go a little mad sometimes, I guess, but I never understood quite why, but they decide to beat the shit out of him until Lord Courtly is a dead Lord Courtly. So they leave, and that's that. Now, I've never been completely satisfied with why they killed him. I didn't understand it. Was it because of blah 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 or something like that? Didn't they like him going blah blah blah? Anyway, Lord Courtly is dead, but Dracula has been resurrected during the ritual, and he decides he's going to kill these old dudes because they have killed his servants. They've killed my servants. I will destroy them. So, in short, you could say that this movie is about Dracula is killing a bunch of old dudes because they killed his minion. I have seen feuds being fought over less, I'd say to you. Now, in the mix of this story is, of course, the daughter of the head of these guys, and she's in love with this boy, and this really upsets the old man, who gets all but Dad, it's just Paul, she'd say, and he said something about Paul's father has apparently made him a little mad. But the story with Paul and her is more intertwined as the movie progresses, and will play an intricate part in the finale. I personally think that this movie is quite fine. Now, I'm saying this, that Christopher Lee is the greatest actor ever to have portrayed Dracula. Sure, I love Gary Oldman in Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it's just something about Christopher Lee, his statue, his animal magnetism, the eyes, and the voice. Oh my word, the voice. But because he played this character lots of times, it became a little repetitive, and the effect of his appearance is, coming in diminishing returns. And in this movie, he is sidelined a little bit, to the, victims that were, mostly hanging around with, which are fine, because when Drac shows up and takes care of business, then it is a mighty fine business and we are pleased with it. But then we have some, fillers to have, because at this point they had run out of good stories. So they just chuck up a couple of really good actors into okay parts and gave Dracula a reduced screen time and hope that everything was going to be fine. And it is, in a sense. I like the Hammer movies because they have an own identity. You can spot an Hammer production almost immediately. They have this adorably fake set and the adorably fake blood and the very special music that I always liked, and the lightning, which is very special. And all this together makes watching a Hammer movie that is not the best, but still it's an okay movie. It is like putting on a very, very comfy cardigan. It is good even though it isn't your best cardigan. As a horror movie, it is not a very scary movie. It is no jump scares or something like that. There is no gratuitous nudity or blood or something like that. It is pretty violent in some parts, but this movie has more about the atmosphere and more about the tone. And if that is your cup of tea when it comes to horror movies, you'll have a field day with this one, but there are better Hammer horror movies. And if you have seen a lot but not this one, I would suggest, well, see this one. If you have never seen this one, this is an okay one to start with, but there are better ones. The Dracula from 1966, I think it is, with Christopher Lee, is also a very, very good movie. This is probably the best one that he has done. It's very close to the actual book by Bram Stoker. Taste of Blood of Dracula is a totally fine movie. It is predictable, but it knows what it is and it rolls with it. I'm giving this movie a blood-drenched 54 points. Christopher Lee is of course magnificent, but the reduced screen time does hurt the movie a little bit. The rest of the movie is quite okay and everything is kind of fine, and it is just one of these British horror movies that kind of works but aren't, anything revolutionary about it or anything like that. It is a totally fine movie. So which one is your favorite Hammer horror movie? Mine is definitely not The Satanic Rites of Dracula, because that one is a pot of piss. I'll see you next time from, well, so-and-so reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.